Hello Stings, in this video we are looking at the 7 review. So we'll go ahead and get started with problem number 1. It says what expression is equivalent to this polynomial minus this polynomial? So since it is subtraction, we need to distribute that to the second polynomial. So our pieces become 3n cubed minus 5n plus n squared plus 8n squared, because negative times negative is positive, and then negative times positive is negative 3n cubed. Now that we have completed our distribution, we can combine like terms. The n cubed terms will zero out because 3 minus 3 is 0. We have our n squared terms here. 1 plus 8 is 9. And then finally we have our n term. So we end up with 9n squared minus 5n. For problem number 2, the question is, what will the exponent of g be when this expression is simplified? So the only part we have to worry about is taking the g to the negative 5 and raising it to the 6th power, which means we're going to take the negative 5 and multiply it by 6, which gives us negative 30. So negative 30 is the exponent that g will be raised to whenever we simplify this expression. Problem number 3. They want us to write this expression in simplest form. So what we have here is a product being raised to a power. So each factor of the product gets raised to the power. Now we need to simplify each of these pieces. Negative 6 squared is positive 36. D squared to the 2nd power, because we have a power to a power, we're going to multiply. So 2 times 2 is 4, so we get d to the 4th. F to the 3rd raised to the 2nd power, we take 3 times 2 and get 6. G to the 0 raised to the 2nd power is still g to the 0, because 0 times 2 is 0, and anything raised to the 0 power is just 1, so that particular factor will just cancel out. So we have 36 d to the 4th, f to the 6th for that problem. For problem number 4, they want us to write this in exponential form. So it's currently in radical form. This is a square root, so our index is 2. So we take what's underneath the radical sign, and then we make a fraction out of this exponent and this index, and that becomes 5 over 2. And that is the radical written in exponential form. Our next problem, problem number 5, we need to simplify this expression, and this is going to take us a little longer. Basically, use your calculator to simplify negative 2 over 8 to be negative 1 over 4. Then we just take each of the pieces and put them where they need to be. So we have f to the 3rd over f squared. Well, whenever we're dividing like this, we take these exponents and subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 is positive, so f goes in the numerator. We take g to the negative 5 over g to the negative 4. Negative 5 minus negative 4 is going to give us a negative 1, which means the g is going to go into the denominator. H to the negative 3 over h to the negative 3. These are the same thing, so they're going to cancel out, or negative 3 minus negative 3 makes 0, which is just a 1. So I drew my fraction bar here just a little too long. What we end up with is negative f over 4g. So use the calculator to do the numbers, and then just apply your quotient rule, and then put them in the appropriate place. If you have a negative exponent, make sure it goes in the denominator. Positive exponents in the numerator. Number 6. All we have to do here is we have this factor times this factor times this factor. These first two factors have a power to them, so what we have to do is take each of these inside factors and raise them to that power. So we're going to take n squared, raise that to the 4th power. We're going to take p to the 5th, raise that to the 4th power. We're going to take r squared, raise that to the 4th power. So that's the first part. Now we have this part here, and we're going to take each of those pieces, or each of those factors, raise them to that power as well. So that's p cubed, and let me write that 3 a little bit better. Hopefully that's easier to be seen. Okay, so that was p to the 3rd raised to the 2nd power. Now r to the 4th raised to the 2nd power. And this one has an exponent of 1, so really it's just 6 times n to the 2nd times p times r to the 3rd. Now we're going to simplify all of these power to a powers. So 2 times 4 is 8, so we have n to the 8th, p to the 20th, r to the 8th. Negative 7 squared is 49. Then this is going to be p to the 6th, r to the 8th. Then we have a 6. Then we have n to the negative 2, p, which is basically p to the 1st, and then r to the 3rd. So now we can start putting all our like things together. First off, the numbers. 49 times 6, put that in your calculator, you should end up with 294. Then we'll take all of our n's. N to the 8th and n to the negative 2. 8 and negative 2 makes 6, so we end up with n to the 6th power. Then we have p to the 20th, p to the 6th, and p to the 1st. 20 plus 6 plus 1 is 27. So p is being raised to the 27th power. Then we take the r's. We have 8 plus 8 plus 3. 8 and 8 is 16, plus 3 more is 19. So we have 294 times n to the 6th times p to the 27th times r to the 19th. Make sure that you take care of a product being raised to a power first. Then if you have power to a power, take care of those. And then if you have like bases, add their exponents and simplify in that direction. So this is part 1 of our Unit 7 review.